Not long ago, we looked at the alarming number of WWE superstars seeking their releases. However, they're not the only ones, as the WWE Writers are bailing out on the company too. What gives? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at why writers are leaving the WWE. Writers leaving the WWE is nothing new, but the recent departure of several writers in a short period of time has fans and insiders speculating what the reason could be. In case you haven't been following things, let's update you on some of the recent departures. Number 1. Brian James. Better known as the Road Dogg for his days in the ring as part of D-Generation X, James served as co-head writer of SmackDown Live from 2014 until a few days after WrestleMania 35. While James hasn't left the WWE, he did leave his post as co-head writer, leaving people to ask why. One reason discussed was that James was having trouble keeping up with Mr. McMahon's long hours and frequent script revisions. Something we'll discuss later. Pro Wrestling Sheet will report that the move was not as dramatic as originally reported by some. Sources tell us it was a mutual decision to change Brian's position with the impending move to Fox on the horizon and not necessarily him stepping down. We're told WWE wants to keep his position flexible at this time and use him as a utility player so they can see where he'd fit best going forward. However, other sources are reporting that James was definitely unhappy with having to work long hours on scripts only to see them thrown out at the last minute. Whatever the case, James is out, and if the stories floating around are true, he may have said enough is enough. Number 2. Robert Evans. No, we're not talking about legendary film executive and producer Robert Evans, but former Ring of Honor and Chikara wrestler Robert R.D. Evans, who worked at the WWE as a writer from 2016 to 2019. Evans left the WWE the night of the 2019 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, with initial reports stating that Evans had been fired by Vince McMahon, apparently because Evans had written McMahon's name into a script for the Hall of Fame. It's well known within the industry that Vince McMahon does not like his name to be mentioned at the ceremony, because he wants the event to be all about the WWE superstars rather than himself. Which is pretty commendable, but Dave Meltzer reported that there was an incident during the ceremony that led to Evans either being fired or quitting on the spot. He wrote a line during Bret Hart's Hall of Fame speech where Hart thanked Vince McMahon for giving him and Jim Neidhart their break together. Writers were told ahead of time, or it was expected that they knew that McMahon's name was not to be mentioned in any speech. One person who was there said that as he was being berated and was about to be fired, he quit on his own. It was explained that the attack on Bret caused such a frenzy that it created a very tense atmosphere backstage when the speech was over. The incident took place right after Hart and Neidhart's speech was over, and it was something of a "you can't fire me because I quit" scenario. Dave Meltzer commented that McMahon may have been angry due to the fan attack on Bret Hart and took all his frustrations out on Evans. According to Fightful.com's Sean Ross Sapp, Evans wasn't having it and things escalated quickly. We had a head writer step down, and another writer immediately walk to Gorilla, shake Vince's hand and say, "I hope you learned something tonight," and then quit his job. If that's not an indication of the boneheadedness and stubbornness that sometimes goes on in that space, then I don't know what is. Number 3. Dave Schilling. Known for his time writing for Vice.com, ESPN and The Guardian, Dave Schilling seemed thrilled when he tweeted about his new job on the 24th February 2019. He said, "Some personal news. I can finally reveal that I'm joining the creative team at WWE next month. I could not be more thrilled to have this opportunity in an industry I love." However, less than 2 months later, Schilling tweeted the following. To reiterate, looking for a new job. Features and columns, TV writing, content marketing, open to a variety of things. Email address is in my Twitter bio. DMs open. People often take months to get acclimated to a job, so Schilling's abrupt departure again has people wondering why the WWE's writers are leaving the company or moving to a different position in the company. As you can probably tell by now, the reason is pretty obvious. It doesn't take the Dark Knight detective to figure out the reason for why the writers are leaving the WWE, as head honcho Vince McMahon is the alpha and omega of this problem. The 73-year-old McMahon still retains a death grip on the company's creative direction, and this means long hours and much frustration for his writers. Consider this recent observation by Dave Meltzer during an episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. It's been bad because on the midweek day when they have the big meeting to do all that stuff, it's just like Vince will put him off, and like they don't even start the meeting sometimes until 10 at night, even if it was supposed to start at 5 or 6. They just sit there and wait for Vince to finish whatever stuff he's doing. They start at 10 and it's been real regular that it ends after 3, and for most people, it's probably a negative doing all of that work. Because number one, you just want to get it over with. The other one is that you're so freaking tired that you're not at your best. So that's probably one of the reasons Raw is bad. This is probably a very small reason. But when you're adding up the reasons, it's another reason. It's a reason why a lot of people have, fallen by the wayside on the creative end. Because a normal person, you're supposed to start at 6, and you have to wait another 4 hours, and you're out there until 3:30 AM or 3:05 AM. Depending on the week, there have been 3:30 weeks. It's like it's a pretty tough job in that sense. During an interview with Sports Business Journal, Triple H discussed his father-in-law's passion. He has the most incredible work ethic of any person I have ever seen. It's impossible to hang with him on a long-term basis, even at 73. It's crazy. Still trains every day, still does everything, but he's hands-on on so many things, not because he micromanages or not because he can't let people succeed or do things, but when it comes to the creative and shows, he's still at Raw and SmackDown every week, because that's the part he loves. He found himself later as a businessman, but that's what he loves to do. He's awesome at it, and it's his passion. He won't give that up. Not because he should, it's his passion. It's being a songwriter. He's always going to want to collaborate and work on a song. Always. This continues to be the case, and it continues to frustrate WWE writers. Cageside Seats reported on a story broke by PW Insider which stated, "Insider sources tell them that James has been frustrated with Vince McMahon making changes to the show's script. If you follow what is advertised for Tuesday night broadcast versus what makes the air, something wrestlers themselves joke and complain about online, this checks out." April 9's episode in Brooklyn was said to be the breaking point for the DOGG. It's a tough job to have while at the same time leading a normal life. McMahon doesn't seem to have learned his lesson either if this week's edition of Monday Night Raw is any indication. Last night, wrestling journalist Brian Alvarez tweeted, "Raw script just finalized, 4 minutes before airtime." If McMahon expected the last-minute rewrites to help the product, he was sadly mistaken as last night's Raw sank in ratings with PW Insider's Dave Scherer reporting that Raw had 2.374 million overnight viewers, way down from last week's 2.665 million overnight viewers. And the first hour did pretty well at 2.68 million viewers, but it dropped almost 400,000 for hour 2 and more than 500,000 from hour 1 to 3. Mr. McMahon's micromanagement seems to be doing more harm than good, both in terms of the fans' reactions as well as the work environment around him. As the WWE's ratings woes continue and the company faces a potentially serious rival with All Elite Wrestling, it seems obvious that Vince McMahon's frustrations are growing. Some fans see McMahon's last-minute revisions as reminiscent of WCW during its troubled days, and although the WWE is on solid financial ground, it does seem to be lost creatively despite an abundance of talent. Until McMahon changes his ways, something that's unlikely to happen except in the most drastic of circumstances, such as the WWE losing its lucrative TV deal with Fox, it's all but certain that the writers around him will continue their exodus. While the WWE may seem like a great place to work for any wrestling fan, it's a place where writers work long hours and see their best work thrown out at the whim of a boss who's clearly out of touch with his fan base. But there you have it, guys, reasons to why storylines are terrible and writers are leaving the WWE. What do you guys think of the situation? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.